I'm Stephanie, and welcome to Wine Club. This is the playlist where I drink good wine while I whine about a bad book. And today's offender is The Truth Hurts by Rebecca Reed. And boy, oh boy, is that title fitting for this going to be scathing review. I do want to give a warning that there are going to be spoilers and shit talking in this review. If that is not your preferred varietal, you are probably not going to like this video. And if you do want a spoiler-free version of this review, please check out my What I Read in April video. I also want to say, as I always say, this review is solely about the work and not about the author as a person. I'm sure she is absolutely lovely. But let's go ahead and see what this book promised. A young woman dives into the love of a lifetime. She and her fabulous new husband agree that they'll observe only one rule. They won't talk about the past. Ever. Is he hiding something? Caught up in a whirlwind romance that starts in sunny Ibiza and leads to the cool corridors of a luxurious English country estate, Poppy barely has time to catch her breath, let alone seriously question if all of this is too good to be true. Drew is enamored, devoted, okay, a little mysterious, but that's part of the thrill. What's the harm in letting his past remain private? Maybe he's not the only one. Fortunately, Drew never seems to wonder why his young wife so readily agreed to their unusual pact to live only in the here and now and not probe their personal histories. Perhaps he assumes, as others do, that she is simply swept up in the intoxication of infatuation and sudden wealth. What's the harm in letting them believe that? How far will they go to keep the past buried? Isolated in Drew's sprawling mansion, Poppy starts to have time to doubt the man she's married, to wonder what in his past might be so terrible that it can't be spoken of, to imagine what harm he might be capable of. She doesn't want this dream to shatter, but Poppy may soon be forced to confront the dark truth that there are sins far worse than the sin of omission. It sounds like an updated Rebecca of sorts. It is, and it isn't. This is honestly the slowest book I have read in a while. Even Poppy, our heroine in the story, is bored out of her mind. Me too, girl. If you're bored, I'm bored. What am I supposed to do with this? She has her whirlwind romance with Drew, gets married, agrees to leave the past in the past, and moves into this big-ass house with him that's fully furnished. He's very evasive about why it's furnished and where the other owners went and why they left everything behind. He's an awful liar, but Poppy isn't exactly spending her days in the lab separating ions, so, they're kind of made for each other. She buys his bullshit, even though she always feels like something just isn't quite right. How her family tree wasn't eaten by lions during the Dark Ages, I'll never know, because, God, she does not have two brain cells to rub together. So not only is the book slow, but the book is 70% Poppy just wanting to be a good Stepford wife to Drew and redecorating the house and making it her own. Even though she thinks it may be haunted, then there's 10% having sexy times with him, 15% hints of mysterious things in her past, and just 5% of her being a straight up bitch to her only friend Gina. Now, Gina isn't great on her own, but their friendship is one that should really only be found in the depths of hell. So the book kicks off with Poppy being fired from her nannying job because she finally snaps when the mom is 6 hours late, and Poppy decides to call the mom out on her awful behavior. Honestly, this mom did deserve a punch to the throat, and I was really excited that Poppy put her in her place. She seemed to have a real personality, was kind of spunky, and I was excited to see this independent badass through the rest of this book. Fortunately, she disappeared because we're just left with this person who's just, but it's my husband's home. What can I even paint? Can I pick the right colors? Girl, where did your spine go? Because you had it at the beginning of the book. So Poppy is unceremoniously fired. She ends up stealing the family's car, which she admits at least is not a great decision, but she's freaking out. She goes to this pub to drink away some of her sorrows and her worries for her future, where she serendipitously meets Drew. Drew is an attractive, rich, older man, and he is quite happy to comfort her. He buys her dinner, drinks, and invites her back to his place for the night, and they don't do the deed as he doesn't want to take advantage of her. The next morning, he offers to buy her some new clothes, take her to a hair salon, and basically just give her the pretty woman treatment, minus her not being paid for the sexy times. She finds it odd, but she does go with it, which I honestly can't kind of fault her. He's loaded. If he wants to spend his money that way, you know what? Buy me some shoes and pay for my new highlights, please. Like, send me money, Drew. Their day turns into several, and I'll also say she did return the car. So their day turns into several, and before you know it, Poppy is living with him in his vacation home, and he's proposing to her. After 3 weeks. No red flags whatsoever. The day of their wedding, he has an idea. How about, maybe they just never talk about their pasts? They'll only live in the here and now. Now, we know Poppy is hiding some big, terrible secret TM, so she readily agrees to this, but again, doesn't really think, why does he want this to happen? But it's not just not talking about the bad past relationships that could spoil their own romance. She can't even really ask about where he went to school, what he does all day, what his mother's name was, as this mother has already passed on. She's just not allowed to know anything about how he has become the man he's become. He then surprises her with a wedding present, a new home back in England, that he's named Thursday House because they met on a Thursday afternoon. And totes adorbs, so cute. So they move home, and Poppy is going to become the lady of the house, as she doesn't have to work anymore. He makes plenty of money for them and already bought their home. Now, she is a little creeped out when they first get to the house. As I've said, it's fully furnished. It looks like the owners just one day just disappeared or were raptured, they left everything behind. And Drew just kind of fobs her off and says oh, the last owners didn't want to ship all of their stuff to their new house. They emigrated. Oh, they just left everything behind. And it's all very sketch, but Poppy is determined to feel at home. But then weird things start happening. She turned off a light switch before changing a light bulb, but still ends up getting shocked. Then on another day, she's running a bath and turns off the water to go downstairs to get a book. But when she comes back upstairs, the taps are turned back on and the tub is going to start overflowing. It's an old-fashioned tub, so she is about to have a serious water problem. And then she tries to turn the taps and cannot do it, has to call an emergency plumber to come take care of the problem. Then another time she's painting and the windows are open, but then she passes out and the windows are all closed. Why is Casper the Ghost flipping on light switches, running the water, or closing the windows? It's never fucking explained. The house isn't haunted. It's not someone else messing with her. It's just in the story to make it feel all gothic and creepy, but it is not once given an explanation. Either give me a ghost or explain it, Reed, because this stuff just made me mad. Because there's no payoff. There's no payoff. Nothing actually happens with this. It's just weird. So then the weirdness continues as they, go into town, which Drew is obviously not happy about. And once people find out where they live, they give Poppy and Drew the stink eye. Now, Drew says it's because they're rich and they live in the country and these poor bumpkins don't understand. But it's obviously a lot more than that. And instead of just asking someone why they flinch when she gives them their address, or even better, Google her own home, she just buys what Drew is selling. Again, this girl's an idiot. During the bathtub incident, an emergency plumber comes out and then yells at her, now I will say for no reason, and fixes the problem and charges her 800 pounds. He is glaring at her, and she doesn't once ask what his problem is or why he seems to hate being in the house. It just doesn't make any sense that she never asks. I mean, she's asking in her own head, like, why are these people treating me like this? Like, let those thoughts come out of your mouth, Poppy, and maybe you'll get an answer. And this just kind of brings up a huge hole in the story. Now, yeah, I told you there'd be spoilers. But we find out that the home was Drew's childhood home. And a little girl died there many years ago. So that's why people don't like the house. But they shouldn't know that Drew is the same kid who grew up there as he got a name. And they also shouldn't hate these people who just bought this house. Like, supposedly, they should have nothing to do with it. And it even sounds like he's not the one who actually killed her. His brother pushed this little girl into a well. But these people are acting like Poppy and Drew did it just by buying the house. Now, I would buy this more if Drew hadn't changed his name and they all knew who he was, and here he is, like, moving back into this place. Like, again, for all they know, Drew and Poppy are strangers who might not even know about the house's history. It's just so melodramatic and just there, like all the haunting stuff, to add tension, but it is never fully addressed. Poppy knows the townspeople don't like them, don't want anything to do with the house, and she herself thinks that the house is actively trying to hurt her through these unexplained hauntings. The house is huge, and she has nothing to do with herself, and spends the majority of the book just being bored. She is so bored, and so was I. The middle of this book drags on and on and on, and is so boring. They spend so much time describing the wallpaper, the paint colors, the flooring, the cookware, the couch cushions, rather than just building any sense of suspense or building up an air of mystery. Now, it was a little hilarious at times because Poppy makes a comparison to the story of Rebecca and was mad at the protagonist for complaining about being bored and not asking basic questions when shit is happening in that story. Poppy, come a little closer, you little hypocrite, so I can smack you. But Poppy is bored to tears. Same girl. So she decides to show the house who's boss. You know what? Go for it. She invites her best friend Gina, well, honestly her only friend, to stay and help her fix up the house and really make it her own. Drew doesn't care about anything in the home. He is fine with it, which honestly at this point, like, once we find out it's his childhood home, like, why didn't he just sell it, take the cash, and then buy them a new house? Like, he obviously doesn't care about this place, doesn't want to be there. So why are we there? So Gina moves in, and Gina is an interesting character, but she's a completely inconsistent character. So when Poppy first tells Gina about her and Drew, Gina is all, go for it, you deserve a happy ever after. Like, when you know, you know. But then she moves in with them and seems to evade Drew at all costs. Like, something is up. She does not like or trust Drew. Honestly, their friendship just felt so toxic and manipulative. I don't know why these two are friends. They don't seem to like each other or respect each other, and I'm not even sure what their, like, shared history is. Like, Gina's kind of a bitch and a freeloader, but Poppy is also a bitch and supremely judgmental. Like, Gina helps Poppy spruce up the place, and just in time for Drew to invite his friends over for the weekend so they can meet his new bride and see their home. So these are childhood friends of his, which felt like it kind of goes against his little, like, deal of not talking about the past. Won't his friends find it odd that Poppy knows nothing about him, like, before the moment they met? And of course, their arrangement comes to light, and Drew is furious that it was revealed because it was revealed by Gina. But, like, my guy, what did you think was going to happen? This wouldn't have happened if you didn't have your friends over in the first place. And his friends are awful people. They're so entitled and snobbish, and they're just plain assholes. And I guess that's just the way that Poppy wants to be now. Poppy wants these assholes to like her and see her as one of their own, and at times she even goes out of her way to treat Gina horribly in front of them to prove, like, oh, I'm just like you, I treat the help terribly. Like, neither of them are in the right here because, again, Gina's not doing herself any favors with some of the choices she makes, but Drew's friends are horrible and treat Poppy, even, like mud on their shoes. It's supposed to be tense as she tries to prove that she's a good wife to Drew, but I don't care. Then it gets weird because there are two like scenes that I kind of glazed over because I didn't understand what the point of them was. One is Gina like grabbing Poppy and dancing in the yard and shoving it in one of Drew's friends' faces that they do like to have fun. Okay. And then the other is they all go like skinny dipping in the pool together. Okay. Like, these scenes were so random, didn't move the story forward, didn't develop the characters at all. It was just kind of absurdly funny because it means nothing, like The Haunting. And after chapters and chapters of Poppy describing the goddamn butter yellow paint, we have them jumping in the pool. And even the pool scene, it's not like anyone attempted to drown Poppy to add any excitement. It's just there. Like, it honestly felt like this was written as a screenplay because it's very visual, but I'm like, I don't understand what we're doing here. Why are we spending time on this? So in the end, Poppy does impress Drew's friends and they leave, and that's when Gina, comes to talk to Poppy. She whispers that she can't keep the secret anymore. Drew paid Gina for information about Poppy. He saw them both at a party and wanted to meet Poppy and offered Gina money for information and insight into how to play his hand and win Poppy's heart. Poppy is furious and kicks Gina out. She goes to confront Drew and is told that no, it was the other way around. Gina demanded money if she was going to divulge any information to Drew. Poppy thinks it's romantic that he wanted her so badly that he paid her friend for information. She's completely fine with Drew's actions. Just, you know what, girl, get killed. I don't care. So she has fixed up the haunted house that's not really haunted, and then she has a photo shoot at the house, because why the hell not? It is as contrived as it sounds. Now, the only reason this scene is here is so she can get the next clue about the house because she is so bored but doesn't do anything to find any answers herself. She ends up finding out that the house had a different name before being called Thursday House. It was called Eden Park. This part killed me. She fucking calls Gina and asks her to Google information about Eden House. What? You are so bored and your fingers are not broken, Poppy. You should be Googling this, you lazy piece of trash. And this is where it's revealed that Drew had a different name and was there when the little girl died. And here's where it's time for the story to come to a head. So the story has been alternating timelines, one in the present with their marriage, and one in the past when Poppy nannied for the Walker family. The past bits are so slow and basically just page filler that I didn't honestly bother mentioning them until now because it doesn't really mean anything. So it's time to find out what Poppy is hiding and why she agreed to Drew's little deal. So Poppy nannied for this family and was trying to seduce the husband, but then she spinned it so it looked like he was trying to get into her pants. The dad has had many issues with depression and mental health in the past, and unfortunately ends up taking his own life when his wife takes Poppy's version of events as truth. Now, of course, Poppy didn't mean for him to die. She just wanted to get with him. And this is why Drew's interested in her, which Poppy deduces in 2 seconds with zero foreshadowing or build-up whatsoever. She can't even Google her own home, but she's able to figure out that, he knew the entire time. Because he wanted Poppy because they're the same. They are Mr. and Mrs. Murder. And yes, that is a real line in this book. That's not just me being a sarcastic asshole. Mr. and Mrs. Murder. So Gina has come back to the house to rescue Poppy and get her away from Drew because, again, she's been feeling a lot of guilt over her hand that she played in this. But Poppy doesn't want to go. Poppy pushes Gina down the stairs. We get our twist that comes out of fucking nowhere as Poppy basically turns to us, the readers, with a crazy smile. She's fine with murder. She likes it. She was waiting to do this the entire time. Drew is ready to bash her head in with a clock, and she's going to go hold his hand while he does it. She's going to help Drew finish Gina off, and then they can go bury her together. How romantic! They're both killers who wanted to do it again. Like, just fuck right off. Then, of course, the book ends with them leaving Gina buried under what was left of the house as they ended up, like, bulldozing it down and built a park there just to appease the locals, and then they're gonna skedaddle and get out of there. Now Poppy is preggo and going by the name Alice, and she and Drew are going to live happily ever after. No, I hate it. I hate it. This ending is crap. There are no hints leading up to that whatsoever. Now, I will give the book a little bit of credit and say that at least it was not in first-person point of view, so Poppy wasn't having to hide this version of herself from us. But that brings up a whole different problem with this book. It is so shallow. It is in third person, so there's a lot of narrative distance. I don't mind third person, but we still have to know the characters, and I don't know much about Poppy or understand her motivations for anything. At first, she seemed to be somewhat sassy and independent, but then becomes a puddle when she meets Drew, and is so insecure and unsure of what to do until she's smiling like the Joker at the end when she gets to kill Gina. The truth does hurt, and truthfully, this book is not good. It reads like Reed is really pleased with the reveal at the end, but it just felt like she showed her ass. The ending is hot garbage, supremely rushed, and just so ludicrous. There's no foreshadowing and no reason for this book to have the ending it did, besides just to be like a, ha, I gotcha, didn't see that coming, did ya? No, you're right, I didn't. It feels like the ending is completely written just to be shocking, and it is shocking. Shockingly terrible. I really should have DNF'd this, but I kept thinking, surely something exciting or thrilling is going to happen any page now. The last 10 pages, it does, but it's also so over the top and insane that I can't even be happy that something finally happened. Like, God, I was actually kind of hoping the house was going to be haunted, and then they would die in it and have to start haunting the house as they are now ghosts themselves. I ended up giving this 1 star. This was disappointing, it's so underwhelming, and left so many things unexplained. This should not be classified as a thriller or a mystery, as Poppy does nothing to figure out said mystery. There are no thrills until Gina takes a tumble down the stairs. Oh, this book was bad. Now, if you have any recommendations for good thrillers about people hiding secrets, please leave your recommendations in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks for joining me. I really went through this one. Thanks for joining me at Wine Club.